Starting with the first entry, what I'd like to have you do is just tell us the date and time of that first entry.
Sure. So the first one we selected, and this goes in chronological order. And it's also important to note that all of these were searched at least once. So the first one was January 21st at 9:05 p.m. The defendant searched Landon Marie Hoyt.
Is that Hyatt?
I'm sorry, Hyatt. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just so the record is clear, spell the name.
Landden. Marie is Marie, and Hyatt is Hiott.
What is the next search?
Same day, but at 9:10 p.m., so 5 minutes later, U-Haul truck rental.
The next search?
9:12 p.m., U-Haul trucks rates, Colorado Springs, Colorado to Orlando, Florida on January 22nd of 2020.
There was a reference in text messages that we went through on the timeline where the defendant said, I should have left last week when I was, do you remember that search?
I do.
Does that coincide with what we're seeing here, that the defendant is searching for U-Haul trucks to go to Florida?
Correct.
And is this roughly a week prior to Gannon being missing?
It is.
The next entry, what is that?
9:14 p.m., another search was made, U-Haul truck rates, Colorado Springs, Colorado to Orlando, Florida on February 6th, 2020.
And so the actual date of that search, though, was that January 21st, 2020 also?
It was made a couple minutes after the previous one for the rates on January 22nd.
Are there two searches next that occurred on January 24th, 2020?
Yes.
Tell us the time of each one of those two searches.
7:32 p.m., jobs, employment in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina using Indeed.com. And then at 8:01 p.m., sometimes you just leave and take, and it's misspelled. It's spelled Notijig. I'm assuming that means take nothing.
Is that based off the context of the search term?
Yes.
Are there then now a bunch of text messages, I'm sorry, not text messages, searches on the defendant's Colorado phone that occur on January 25th of 2020?
Yes.
Tell us the first one and what time that occurred and what it is.
First one occurred at 8:48 a.m. and it's jobs, employment in Los Angeles, California using Indeed.com.
What's the next one on January 25th?
January 25th is 12:16 p.m. Now this is Saturday before Al flies to Oklahoma. So Saturday the 25th at 12:16 p.m., find real military singles was searched.
Is there another search at 12:16 p.m. as well?
There is military dating and singles at militarycupid.com.
What's the next search on January 25th of 2020?
1:40 p.m., the search was parenting should be 4 people, not 1.
What's the next search on January 25th, 2020 and what time?
Also 1:40 p.m., I'm over doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
What's the next search on January 25th, 2020 and what time?
It's at 1:48 p.m. and it reads, if you aren't involved in your kid's life, you are shitty.
What's the next search on January 25th, 2020 and what time?
1:49 p.m., my husband's ex-wife does nothing for her lids.
Based on context, what do you think that the lids actually meant?
Should be kids.
Okay. Is it a typo basically on the searcher's part?
Yes.
The next search on January 25th, 2020, what time and what did it say?
1:51 p.m., I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's card since I, raise, her, kids.
Does that coincide with what we talked about earlier with text messages from the defendant, originating from the defendant's phone, having periods instead of spaces sometimes?
Yes, primarily happens in a lot of the searches with the periods in between.
Okay. What is the next search on January 25th of 2020 and what time?
1:54 p.m., one day some people will, wish they treated you differently.
What is the next search on January 25th, 2020 and what time?
7:57 p.m. Find me a rich guy who, wants me to take care of his kids.
What is the next search on January 25th, 2020 and what time?
7:58 p.m. Find a guy who wants me to take care of, his, kids and get paid.
What is the next search on January 25th of 2020?
This is at 9:11 p.m. and it's apartments for rent in Fort Lauderdale, Florida on Trulia.com.
What is the next search on January 25th, 2020?
9:13 p.m., 1 bed, 1 bath, apartments for rent in Fort Lauderdale, also on Trulia.
What is the next search on January 25th, 2020, and what time?
9:15 p.m., Craigslist, South Florida jobs, apartments for sale, services, community, and events.
What is the next search on January 25th, 2020, and what time?
Still 9:15 p.m., South Florida rooms and shares on the Craigslist website.
The next one on January 25th, 2020, and what time?
9:20 p.m., South Florida jobs, in quotes, teacher, on Craigslist.
The next search on January 25th, 2020, and what time?
9:47 p.m., Orlando jobs, Disney, in quotes, on Craigslist.
During the course of the investigation, did it become clear to you that the defendant had an affinity for Disney and Disney characters?
Yes.
The next search on January 24th, 2020?
9:49 p.m., Orlando jobs, in quotes, manager on Craigslist.
The next search on January 24th, 2020?
25th. Still 9:49 p.m., Orlando jobs, cruise port, in quotes, also on Craigslist.
What did I say?
I think you said 24th.
Okay. And you corrected me to the 25th. Thank you. What's the next search on January 25th, 2020?
9:49 p.m., Orlando jobs, airport, in quotes, on Craigslist.
Based on all these searches for apartments and jobs in the Florida area, to your belief, did it appear that the defendant was trying to look for a way to move from Colorado and go to Florida without the family?
Right. 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartment for rent. That means you're not moving a family of 5.
And then do we have searches, 3 searches that occurred on January 27th, 2020?
We do.
Tell me the first one on January 27th, 2020.
12:09 a.m., my son, period, burned the carpet. How, period, do I fix it?
Is there a period between the fix and the it?
There is. I just couldn't see it from this angle. How do I fix, period, it?
And then the next search on January 27th, 2020, what is it and what time?
1:03 a.m., son sick, can he stay, period, home?
And then the next search on January 27th, 2020, what time?
2:42 a.m., Craigslist, Orlando, Florida, jobs, apartments for sale, searches, community, and events.
And for context purposes, is January 27th, later that day, the day that the defendant called 911 to report Gannon as a runaway?
Correct.
We have then several searches on January 28th, 2020, is that correct?
There are, yes.
What is the first one on January 28th, 2020?
4:15 a.m., what is the process for, period, our runaway child?
And the next one on January 28th, 2020?
4:16 a.m., police steps for our runaway.
The next search on January 28th, 2020?
4:16 a.m., police steps for, period, our missing child.
The next search on January 28th, 2020?
This was the 7:17 a.m. one, find cheap rental car deals on Priceline.
Does this coincide essentially with the defendant renting that Kia Rio at the Colorado Springs Airport on this particular day?
Correct.
The next search on January 28th, 2020?
At 8:17 a.m., $37 a day compact car.
And then the final search on January 28th, 2020?
4:57 p.m., can Nintendo find my Switch?
And then now do we have 2 searches on January 29th?
Correct.
Tell us the first search on January 29th as it's relevant to this investigation.
Both were at 2:34 a.m. And the first one reads, I want immunity because it was gang related. And the second one is this GregHillAssociates.com. She read an article about be careful about being granted immunity and not testifying.
And does that immunity theme come up in the recorded phone calls between the defendant and Mr. Stauch during those consensually recorded phone calls that we heard testimony from?
Numerous times.
All right. I'm going to switch out the exhibits and move on to People's Exhibit 720. Remind us first, before we get started on People's 720, the date range that we're going to be looking at for the searches here.
So this is from phone number 3, the South Carolina phone. And it's from February 19th to February 23rd, 2020.
Okay.
There were just over 1,300 searches during this time period on her South Carolina phone. We were able to get that down to 377 unique searches. And out of those 377, we're going to show you 96 that are relevant to this case.
All right. Do we have, it looks like
Oh my word. Here we
5
go.
searches that are relevant to this investigation that occurred on February 19th of 2020?
That's correct.
Tell us the first search on February 19th, 2020, and what time?
New
1:22
information.
p.m., the defendant searched crime online.
What is crime online? Do you know?
It's the Nancy Grace show for nationwide exposure crimes.
And was there reference to the defendant being in contact with the Nancy Grace show during some of these recorded phone calls that we heard?
Alleged. We don't have any proof that that the defendant spoke with Nancy Grace.
What is the next search on February 19th of 2020?
At 3:49 p.m., Palmer, period, Harold, period, Colorado, period, Springs.
Is Harold misspelled there?
It is. It's HEARLD.
What is Palmer Herald, Colorado Springs?
It's the newspaper up in Palmer Lake area.
So does that indicate to you that the defendant was searching for news in the Palmer Lake area, which would cover the area where the board was found?
It was. This is during our search operations up there. The defendant was very interested in lots of local news, monitoring what our investigative tactics were at the time.
And then what is the next search on February 19th, 2020?
7:22 p.m. Does text-free show location?
What is text-free?
That's the app that the defendant requested Nicole Mobley download so they could communicate with each other, and where the defendant sent those messages to Nicole Mobley.
The fact that she's searching for does text-free show location, in your mind, does that indicate an awareness of investigative efforts and efforts on her part to evade those investigative efforts?
Absolutely.
What is the next search on February 19th of 2020?
7:43 p.m. How can I make my phone's IP period address hidden?
Is address misspelled?
It is ADREES.
Again, similar to that last question, does this also indicate to you that the defendant appears to have some knowledge that she's wanting to hide information from the investigation?
That's correct.
What is the next search on February 19th, 2020?
At 8:11 p.m., the search was send a fake email.
And then do we have 2 searches on February 20th, 2020?
We do.
What is the first search on February 20th of 2020?
At 6:51 a.m., how long will fingerprints stay on an object?
What is the next search on February 20th, 2020?
8:49 p.m., I need a fake ID that's legit.
Oh my
Then do we
word.
have a bunch of searches on February 21st, 2020 that are relevant for this investigation?
We do.
What is the first one on February 21st?
6:43 a.m., children trafficking to, period, Mexico, period, from, period, and it's misspelled Colorado. It's spelled COLOROSDO.
And does this roughly coincide with references by the defendant in some of these recorded consensual phone calls that were recorded by the FBI, indicating that Gannon may have been trafficked to Mexico?
Yes.
What is the next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:54 a.m., I need a criminal polygraph.
And the next one on February 21st, 2020?
A few minutes later at 7:08 a.m., I need a fake criminal polygraph.
The next one on February 21st, 2020?
7:21 a.m., fake polygraph test.
The next one on February 21st, 2020?
7:35 a.m., can you get away with fake lie detector? And it's misspelled DETEXTOR website.
These searches for needing a criminal polygraph, fake criminal polygraph, and can you get away with a fake lie detector test? Does this indicate, in your mind, that the defendant had some awareness of trying to evade the investigation in this case?
Yes.
What is the next search on February 21st, 2020?
9:52 a.m. Gannon Stauch, El Paso, period, searching in landfill.
Was there in fact searches of landfills trying to locate Gannon's remains?
There were.
Was that publicized?
Briefly, if I recall right.
And then what is the next search on February 21st, 2020?
11:26 a.m. Search efforts for Gannon Stauch.
The next one on February 21st, 2020?
6:46 p.m. I need, and it was misspelled, MEED, to change my look to hide.
And the next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:47 p.m. Face disguise.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:49 p.m. Full face and then change, but it's misspelled CHAMGE.
And the next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:51 p.m. First face transplant woman.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
Also at 6:51 p.m. Full face transplant.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:51 p.m. Face, but it's misspelled FAVE. Transplant near me.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:53 p.m. Full face plastic surgery.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
6:56 p.m. Full face plastic surgery, Atlanta.
Those searches, as it relates to this plastic surgery, face transplant, and that sort of thing, in your mind, did that indicate an effort to change her appearance to evade the investigation?
Yes.
What is the next search on February 21st, 2020?
7:23 p.m. Need a guy who wants me to move in.
The next search on February 21st, 2020?
7:24 p.m. Find a man with a place to let me move in.
And then do we have, let me see, 4 searches on February 22nd, 2020?
Yes.
What is the first one?
9:50 a.m. Change my facial appearance, but appearance is misspelled APPEARMCE.
And the next search on February 22nd, 2020?
Also at 9:50 a.m. Drastic ways to change your appearance.
The next search on February 22nd, 2020?
2 minutes later, see what my face will, but misspelled SILL, period, be with plastic surgery.
And the next search on February 22nd, 2020?
Also at 9:52, plastic surgery, Myrtle Beach, SC.
Did this indicate to you that the defendant is still indicating a willingness or want to change her appearance to evade the investigation?
Yes,
And then do we have 4 searches on February 23rd, 2020?
we do.
What is the first one?
3:08 a.m., Gannon Stauch found.
Was he found on February 23rd?
No.
What's the next search on February 23rd, 2020?
8:24 a.m., replacement passport.
The next search on February 23rd, 2020?
3:15 p.m., shock from period, watching someone get shot.
Is someone misspelled?
Yes, it's spelled SOMEOKE.
Is this the first indication that we have, well, let me back up a little bit. Gannon's body still had not been found by this time, right?
Not yet.
Is this the first indication that we have of consciousness by the defendant of Gannon being shot?
Yes.
And then the final search on February 23rd, 2020.
5:13 p.m., face mask that looks real to disguise.
Is that the last search on that exhibit?
Yes.
I'm going to switch them out and move on to 721.
Yes, Judge. Call them out. Call them out. Call them. I could see the judge wants to. He's looking at them like, hello, what are you doing? Judge is not looking happy. Listen, Will Cook. Focus.
What are the date ranges for People's Exhibit 721?
So again, still from the South Carolina phone number 3, February 24th, 2020 through February 26th, 2020.
We have what looks to be 7 searches on February 24th, 2020.
Yes.
What is the first one?
9:14 a.m., GoFundMe, Tisha and Harley support, but support is spelled AUPPORT.
And the next search on February 24th, 2020?
1:23 p.m. How long does it take to get DNA?
Next search on February 24th, 2020?
1:24 p.m. How long does it take to get DNA from crime?
And the next search on February 24th, 2020?
Also 1:24 p.m. How long does it take to get DNA results from a crime scene?
The next search on February 24th, 2020?
1:26 p.m. How long does it take police to get DNA results?
The next search on February 24th, 2020?
1:39 p.m. How long does it take police to get DNA results in Colorado?
And then the final search on February 24th, 2020?
1:39 p.m. How long does it take police to get DNA results in Colorado Springs?
And then are there 5 searches of relevance to this investigation that occurred on February 25th of 2020?
There are.
What is the first one?
5:49 a.m. Make a security video.
And the next one on February 25th, 2020?
Also at 5:49 a.m. Make a security video past tense.
As it relates to that particular search, in your mind, does it appear that somebody is trying to create what would look like an old security video to throw off the investigation?
And alter it to whatever narrative you want it to fit. Yes.
Okay. The next search on February 25th, 2020?
4:12 p.m. I need a new social security number to hide.
The next search on February 25th, 2020?
4:28 p.m. Apply for a social if I lived on an Indian reservation.
And then the final search on February 25th, 2020?
6:56 p.m. Cadaver dog.
And then the remainder of the searches on this exhibit 721, do they all occur on February 26th of 2020?
They do.
All right, let's start with the first one. What is it?
6:18 a.m. Do they check in ditches under bridges?
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
6:18 a.m. Maintenance under ditches under bridges.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
6:57 a.m. Can I get a plea with no jail time? The time is misspelled, just IME.
Immunity.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
7 a.m. Criminally negligent homicide in Colorado.
The words criminally negligent homicide, are those very specific words that people familiar with the criminal justice system would be more aware of than regular people in the community? He's a crime analyst, Judge.
Yeah, but I don't know that you would need to lay some different foundation for his knowledge of general community versus, I guess, not general or legal community, I guess.
I'll withdraw the question, Judge.
Okay.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
7:30 a.m. Can I find a rich guy?
The next search on, I'm not sure what's so funny.
Why are
over
they
here, Judge,
laughing? Exactly. Why are they laughing at this?
but a lot of interruptions coming from my
Yes,
left.
yes.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:10 a.m. Can they trace Snapchat?
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:30 a.m. Colorado closed cases.
Is Colorado spelled correctly?
No, it's misspelled COLROADO.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
Also at 8:30 a.m. Colorado misspelled COLROADO. Springs misspelled SPRINGS. Closed murder cases.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:33 a.m. Drug cartels in Colorado Springs.
Does this coincide with those consensually recorded phone calls that the FBI was involved with, wherein the defendant starts to introduce the idea that potentially a drug cartel was involved with Gannon's disappearance?
Yes.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:48 a.m. Make my phone get a call, misspelled, just CAL, from Mexico.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:51 a.m. Fake a call, period, from Mexico, period. Drug, misspelled, SRUG, cartel.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
Also 8:51 a.m. Fake a call from Mexico, drug cartel.
The next search on February 26th, 2020?
8:53 a.m. Bluff my call app.
Are you familiar with what that means, Bluff My Call app?
I am.
What is that?
It's an app you can download that makes a different phone number show up on the caller ID of the recipient's phone.
Is that typically used in your experience to trick somebody into not knowing who is making a phone call?
I've seen it a couple of times in like stalking cases where they use this app or an app very similar to it to mask their number.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
8:54 a.m. What are some Mexican drug, misspelled SRUG, cartel phone numbers?
The next search on February 26, 2020?
9:13 a.m. What do they do when they find a person body in another misspelled ANITHER state?
The next search on February 26, 2020?
9:13 a.m. How do they identify misspelled IDENIFY bodies found misspelled FOUN in another state?
And the next search on February 26, 2020?
9:33 a.m. Make a fake Snapchat video.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
10:45 a.m. Can the FBI go to Los Canos?
What is Los Canos?
I think it's a city in Mexico.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
10:53 a.m. Create a recording of someone's voice and change the words. And create is misspelled CREAT.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
10:55 a.m. Add someone's voice in a video.
Is someone's misspelled?
It is SOMEOMES.
Does this indicate to you that whoever is doing these searches is trying to change a video
Correct.
to add voices that weren't necessarily caught on the video?
Correct.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
10:56 a.m. Change someone's words in a video.
The next search on February 26, 2020?
2:38 p.m. Bahamas marriage certificate.
And the final search on February 26, 2020?
2:40 p.m. I need a fake marriage license.
Is that the last search on People's Exhibit 721?
It is.
I'll switch them out and put up 722.
Those two are making me so mad right now.
If I don't take out the light first.
Welcome to all the members.
What are the date ranges for People's 722?
The date ranges are February 27th through March 1st. And this is still off of phone number 3, the South Carolina phone.
Are there 7 searches that occurred on February 27th, 2020?
There are.
What is the first search?
7:03 a.m. How do police tell whose body has been found?
Considering the circumstances in this case where Gannon's body had not been found for a number of days, almost 2 full months, does that seem to indicate, from your perspective, some knowledge that it's going to be difficult to identify Gannon's remains?
It indicates to me that there's research being done to see how difficult it would be.
What is the next search on February 27, 2020?
7:58 a.m. Can God help me escape jail time? And escape is misspelled ESCAOE.
The next search on February 27, 2020?
8:05 a.m. How do, they identify whose, misspelled WHOS, blood is at the scene?
The next search on February 27, 2020?
8:35 a.m. Find people who want to go to, jail.
The next search on February 27, 2020?
8:58 a.m. Spanish girl names.
Is Maria Sanchez a Spanish girl name?
Very traditional, yes.
Is Little Lucia potentially a Spanish girl name?
Lucia
Spanish
is,
girl
yes.
name. Yeah, yes,
The
yes.
next search on February 27, 2020?
9:04 a.m. Petco, Nevada, Colorado Springs.
Was that a point of reference in this investigation?
3 times.
And then the final search on February 27, 2020, what is it?
10 a.m. Find an immigrant who will admit to a crime.
And then are there a number, let me count them, 1, 2, 11 searches that occurred on February 28th
There are?
that are relevant to this investigation.
Yes.
What is the first one on February 28th, 2020?
7:02 a.m. How long does a body start to decompose in a bag?
Does that indicate specific knowledge about the condition in which Gannon's body was packaged and discarded?
Yes.
In what way?
He was found in a suitcase.
The next search on February 28th, 2020?
7:03 a.m. What does, misspelled, WGATFOES, what does a dead body look like after a month?
And is this basically 1 month after Gannon had went missing?
Yes.
What is the next search on February 28th, 2020?
7:04 a.m. What does a dead body look like after a month? Spelled correctly this time.
And the next search on February 28th, 2020?
8:12 a.m. Active drug, misspelled DRIG, cartels in Mexico.
The next search on February 28th, 2020?
8:23 a.m. Bluff my call free.
What is the next search on February 28th, 2020?
8:33 a.m. Address of period drug cartels, and drug is misspelled DEUG.
And then the next search, what is it on February 28th, 2020?
8:36 a.m. Current drug cartels, misspelled DEIG, in Colorado, misspelled COLORAOD, Springs, misspelled SPRINSG.
What is the next search on February 28th, 2020?
7:44 p.m. How period does the FBI find people, and people's misspelled PEOOPLE?
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case?
Oh, she found out.
What is the next search on February 28th, 2020?
7:49 p.m. How period does the FBI find fugitives?
And the final search on February 28th, 2020?
7:49 p.m. Well, and there's two more.
I'm sorry.
How period does the FBI find fugitives? And then how fugitives avoid capture?
Are those both at 7:49 p.m.?
Correct.
And then do we have now 3 searches that occurred on February 29th, 2020?
We do.
What is the first one?
Casey Anthony,
What time was that?
6:27 a.m.
And just for reference sake, who is Casey Anthony?
Casey Anthony was a wildly in the news case where Casey Anthony is a mom who stood trial for the murder of her young daughter, Kaylee.
And then the next search on February 29th, 2020?
6:29 a.m. Casey Anthony and Patrick McKenna.
Do you have any idea who Patrick McKenna is?
I don't.
And then this next and final search on February 29th, 2020 that is relevant to this investigation?
1:30 p.m. When does FBI take over a case?
And then the final searches on this exhibit 722, do they all occur on March 1st, 2020 as it's relevant to this case?
They do.
What is the first one on March 1st, 2020?
3:58 p.m. How to make my fingerprints not scan.
The next search on March 1st, 2020?
4:03 p.m. Fingerprint rubber.
What is that a reference to based on the way you take that?
Trying to get fake fingerprints, so your fingerprints can't be identified.
Okay. And then the final search on March 1st, 2020.
4:03 p.m. Fingerprint rubber to make fingerprint.